Good afternoon, I'm John Naylor from the East Central Business Show, and this afternoon I'm joined by Richard Davies. Richard, thank you very much for coming to talk to me.
Good afternoon, John.
Now, you're into a variety of things. I know you as an immigration agent, but I also know you have done a lot of business coaching, and there's some awesome number you just told me about the number you've coached through getting into business and entrepreneurialism-wise.
Well, over 20 years, I've coached about 4,500 people who have started their own business.
Now, I've got to straight up ask the question. I mean, we know that 1 in 5 businesses are out of business within 2 years. How's your win rate?
Better than 80%. Some years it's got to 90%, but the average is somewhere between 80 and 90% were successful and still in business a couple of years later. Okay,
well, that's good news. So we've got reason to believe in your advice then, yeah? Now, one thing you touched on, and we'll get to that at the end of the show maybe, because there's a real good gold nugget, those 5 things you said, 5 good questions to ask yourself when you get into business about whether or not you're in business and you're going to get ahead. So let's leave that at the end and keep that as a little gold nugget at the end of the show. But now, first of all, we talked off camera before we started here about the yin and yang and the sort of positives and negatives of venture capitalism. I mean, is it, myself as an aspiring business person, is it something I should want to get into?
Look, there's a place for venture capitalism. If you've got a product that's going to go global, then maybe you need somebody else's money.
Okay.
But there's a golden rule, and that is that the person with the gold makes the rules. So getting venture capital is not always as good as it sounds.
No, okay. So what do you mean? Like the devil's in the detail, the contract, or?
It's definitely in the contract. You'll find a venture capitalist that's going to look after their own money ahead of everything else, including ahead of your interests.
Yeah.
And while you're doubling the size of the business every 3 months, they'll stick with you.
Yeah.
You falter, and they'll want to get their money back, and they'll probably replace you. So venture capitalists are very, very sharp people. They don't have plenty of money by being loose with it. And unless you're very confident about your product and your own abilities, sometimes you're better off without them.
Okay. So on the base that you're saying, unless you've got like world domination in mind and some global business, well, you're saying the majority of times you're probably better to go at your own.
Well, most small businesses are never going to be masters of the universe, so most small businesses are better off without venture capital.
Yeah, okay. And how are you going to know that then? Is there an easy way to sort of determine that? I mean, we've all got grandiose, within East Central, of course, I've got grand plans for the business, but how do I know?
Well, there's 4 or 5 questions at the core of every business that are really important. What are you selling? Who are you going to sell it to? How much can you charge?
Yes.
Can you make a lot of money out of it?
Yes.
And why will they still pay you that amount of money rather than going to a competitor?
Okay.
If that lines up like the stars, then perhaps you need a venture capitalist to exploit the opportunity.
Okay.
But most of the time it isn't as easy as that.
Okay, so as you say, within the digital marketing avenue, as they have with a range of different things they do for business to help them find more customers, that sort of thing, you're probably seeing that that's not scalable as such, or?
Digital marketing is perhaps a little bit different to most small businesses. If you run a restaurant, you're unlikely to take over the world. If you run a digital business, you just might. So there's a little bit more upside opportunity there, and you keep a little bit more of an open mind about venture capitalism.
Yes.
But you'd also be prepared to fail once, twice, 3 times, as many times as it takes before you succeed.
Okay, fabulous. All right. Look, sage-like advice, Richard. I really appreciate you coming on and talk to me this afternoon, and the off-camera stuff we've had has actually helped me drive myself forward a little bit as well. So thank you very much for that, and we'll look forward to speaking to you again sometime.
Great, John. See you again.
Okay, thank you, Richard. All right, that's enough for this afternoon, and that's this episode of the East Central Business Show done. We'll speak to you next time.